Welcome to part 1 of our capstone project. In this two-part tutorial, we are going to build a complete authentication system from scratch using Node.js and Express. We will implement sign-up, login, and secure password hashing. Let's jump right in and set up our project. So first of all, let's create a directory named as auth system which will contain our project files and folders. Cd auth system, then npm init -y cd auth system pm init -y. This will create a packet.json for us. Here is the created package.json. Now let's install some packages which will be required in our completion of this project. Express, bcrypt.js, cookie parser, SQLite 3, and this, then .env, and lastly JSON web token. Wait for a few seconds for the installation. Now the installation is complete. Let's install one more package known as Nodemon. Nodemon will help us in restarting the Node.js app automatically when any changes is done in the Node.js file. Now let's create some more files. .env for storing the secrets, and roots for containing the uh, files related to our API routes, and then a utils folder for containing the utility function. Other than this, uh, let's now create an utility function in the utils folder. So first one would be a file that through which we can validate the user inputs. So for this, uh, let's create a validation.js. Here I will create two functions like validate email and validate password. Const validate email, and next validate password. So these function we will use in the when the sign up and login APIs were hit, these functions will be executed for the validation of email and passwords. Let's export these functions. Module.export validate email and validate password. So this completes our validation.js. Next, we should implement the authentication related codes. So let's define a auth.js file in roots folder, and here our sign up and login roots will be written. Let's import const express file and then const router equal to express router dot router. Then we require the our validation functions. Validate email and validate password is stored in utils path. Here we need bcrypt as well. Now it's time to define our sign up route. Sign up. Then check if the email entered is valid or not. If email is invalid, response will be returned that email is not valid. Similarly, for the password as well, validate password. And if password is not as per the provided rules, it, then the error will be thrown. Now it's time to define a query here that will be executed in the DB for finding that whether. So now let's define a database.js where the database initializations would be done. So I'm writing here a pre-written script for the quick implementation. Here our SQLite say database connection would be done and purely connection related and the whether the table exists or not will be checked here. So now database.js is complete here, and let's proceed to our auth.js file and complete the sign up route now. So again here for the query part as well, I'm using a pre-written script for checking whether the user exists in the SQLite database or not. So after checking email and password validation, uh, just below this, I will write it. So here, the queries will actually execute that in the users table. Uh, it will be checked that whether the provided email exists or not, and from there only the ID column will be extracted, and then it will be checked that whether that ID exists or not. If some DB related error occurs, the database error will be thrown. Otherwise, if the user already exists and sign up is tried again with the same credentials, user already exists, error will be thrown. Then we will encrypt our password, or say we will hash it, and then uh, insert it into our database with the uh, with this SQL query insert into users. And on the successful insertion, uh, we will get a response via this API that user created successfully with the status code 201. So this completes our sign up route now. Let's uh, some more error handling can be added here as well. Let's encapsulate it into try catch block. Try catch. Now our sign up route is completed now. We have encapsulated our code base in the try catch blocks. If in the try block, if at any point error occurs, our API will throw that internal server error occurred. Now let's implement the login route. Here as well, we need to check whether the email or password provided is valid or not. So it can be reused as was done in the sign up route. Other than this, one more validation is required, that whether the if any of the input is not provided, then email and password are required will be sent. Here again, we have to execute a SQL query to check that whether the provided email exists in the database or not. So this SQL query select star from users where email is equal to email. We'll check that provided email is exists in the email column or not. So on the successfully, if the relevant details were found, then login successful message will be sent. Otherwise, proper errors will be thrown as we have provided in the if else blocks. So now our sign up and login routes completed. Let's now implement the main driver program in the app.js. Export, import, express, constructor. With the .env.config, our .env files in secrets stored in the .env files would be accessible here. Otherwise, it won't be accessible, and it is required to import that. Now app.js looks clean now. This is a minimal setup for executing the authentication on sign up and login routes. Let's revisit the all the files again. Let's execute this file now. Node app.js. Find module bcrypt. Bcrypt. So we actually missed here two important things. First one is to import the router, which we have initialized here, the router object. And another is the import of database code, the database .js that we created. It is also need to be imported here for the successful execution of the queries we written in each of the routes. So with these fixes, it must run successfully now. Yeah, the server is running on localhost 300 and connected to SQLite database. Let's later test these APIs in the Postman now. So in the Postman, at this route, we have to define. Let's pass the email and password here. Email as abcd@gmail.com and password just random strings like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. Let's send it. It contains at least one number and one special character. So we got the message now. User created successfully and user ID 1. Let's check for the login route now. For the same email passwords, the response should be positive one. Let's check now. So yeah, message is login successful. User ID is 1. Our login and sign up routes both are working fine now. So it means our implementations are robust enough. So with this, our part 1 tutorial completes now. In the next tutorial at the part 2, we will implement the sessions with the Express session package. Specifically, we will implement both session-based and token-based authentication and will create the protected routes, and with this we will complete our authentication system with proper security setups. That will complete our part 2 and this entire series on authentication and authorization. So stay tuned for that and thanks for watching the part 1 video.